Good morning students. As we don't have much time left to prepare for UGC-NET English Literature examination, here in this video we are going to discuss about a few questions or a few topics that will help you to score extra marks in your UGC-NET examination. So beginning the first one, what you can do is you can simply create a list of all the magazines and Bibles that has ever been published in the history of English literature. You are surely going to get 2 questions from magazines or Bibles. It's really not difficult to remember all the magazines and the Bibles chronologically. All you just have to do is you have to make a Google search and all the list of magazines will appear before you. We have seen in the past that magazines like Tatler, Rambler, Spectator, Edinburgh Review have been repeatedly asked in last 4 to 5 years. So there are around 20 to 25 magazines. You can create a list of them and start preparing them. It will hardly consume 4 to 5 hours of your time to prepare this topic, and 2 questions will be rewarding for you. Also make sure to remember the publication years as well as the founder of the magazine. Moving forward, start preparing your literary devices or figure of speech. You are surely going to get 2 questions from figure of speech. Again, this topic is also not that much big that you cannot cover within a few days. It will hardly take you 4 to 5 hours of your time to prepare this topic. So 2 questions either will come from magazines or Bibles, and 2 questions will come from this particular topic, literary devices and figure of speech. Although it will consume a little amount of time for you to create the list of magazines and Bibles, but in case of figure of speech, you will easily get on YouTube channels. Just search the keywords figure of speech or literary devices used in the English literature and you will find the complete list of all these figure of speeches. Simply write down in your notebook and start revising them. Moving forward, don't forget to study all these important writers like Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, T.S. Eliot, Bronte sisters, etc. All these 4 to 5 writers, including Thomas Hardy, have been repeatedly asked in the examinations. So all the works of these writers are important. You must go for complete works written by them. Generally, they will ask you the character with which the character is associated with. So whenever you study these writers from Victorian period, try to remember the characters also. You are surely going to get 4 to 5 questions from these 4 to 5 writers. Needless to say, in every subject there are important writers and important works that you should be focusing on. Just like we have discussed in British literature, there are important writers in Indian literature, there are important writers in American literature or Caribbean literature. And you will definitely going to find a few questions from these writers and their works. For instance, in Indian literature, you will find questions from R.K. Narayan, Anita Desai, Raja Rao, Mulk Raj Anand, G.V. Desani, etc. Works like Kanthapura by Raja Rao or Untouchables by Mulk Raj Anand or R.K. Narayan Swami and Friends and Anita Desai's Cry the Peacock, you will find the questions from all these works. Even if you do not prepare your Indian literature, try not to forget these 4 to 5 writers from Indian literature. Again, it is very much important for you to cover all the works from these writers. You cannot skip any of the works written by these writers because in the past we have seen questions have been asked from all these writers from all their works. So try to do the complete works of R.K. Narayan, G.V. Desani, Anita Desai, Raja Rao or Mulk Raj Anand, etc. Also do not forget the writers like Salman Rushdie or V.S. Naipaul, which are from Indian origin. Similarly, you will find the questions from important writers from American literature, for instance Robert Frost, Ernest Hemingway, Eugene O'Neill, etc. So the works written by these 4 to 5 writers are also important from American literature. Generally, they ask basic questions from American and Indian literature. So the works like The Great Gatsby, Last of Mohicans or Moby Dick makes important for you to study for this attempt. So we have discussed so many questions so far. For instance, 2 questions from magazines, 2 questions from literary devices and figure of speech, 3 questions from Indian literature and 3 questions from American literature. This is a short 15 questions you will find in your upcoming UGC-NET examination. Apart from that, we have also discussed 5 questions that is going to come from Victorian age. For instance, the writers like Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, Thomas Hardy, etc. So these are the 20 questions that you will find from the topics that we have just discussed, and you can prepare these few topics in less than a week. Now moving forward, another important subject which is most scoring is literary theory and literary criticism. Although literary theory is difficult to study, but once you understand all the theorists and the theories given by them, you will find very much easy for you to get good marks in this examination. Literary theory and literary criticism are not like British literature or Indian literature or American literature. These subjects are limited. All you just have a good understanding and you don't even have to revise these subjects before the examination. Once you understand the concept, that's it. You will find 20 to 25 questions from these two subjects alone. So if you have not started preparing these two subjects, what you can do is you can create the list of writers and the theories given by them and start cramming them. At least you should know who has written which theory. For instance, Deconstruction by Derrida, Cora by Julia Kristeva, Myth and Kinship by C.L. Strauss, Oedipus Complex by Sigmund Freud, Implied Reader by Wolfgang Iser, or An Anxiety of Influence by Harold Bloom. So you just create a list of all these writers and then you have to create a list of all the theories propounded by these writers. Even if you don't understand what the theory talks about, it would be good for you to remember which writer has written which theory. You will find a couple of questions in your examination in the match the following, where you have to match the theorist with the written theories. Moving forward, the last thing you can do is to start preparing your paper 1. Without preparing for your paper 1, you cannot crack the examination. So you can start with research methodology or higher education, and after that, if you have time, you can go for communication, logical reasoning and other subjects. So in these last 30 days, you don't have to go for new subjects. Or you can start preparing the important topics like poetic movements. You will find the questions from poetic movements also. You will find the questions from magazines. You will find the questions from Bible. You will find questions from the important works like Charles Dickens, Jane Austen and other writers. In American literature, you will find questions from Moby Dick or writers like F. Scott Fitzgerald, Eugene O'Neill, Robert Frost, etc. So be particular in these 30 days and start preparing the important topics so that you can get a few extra marks in the examination. So I hope you found the video worth your time. If you are new to this channel and have not subscribed this channel yet, then don't forget to subscribe the channel for more updates on English literature. So that's it for this video. Thank you.